Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining today's training, Introduction to Asset-Based Frameworks and the Growth Assessment Tool. This webinar will help program staff understand asset-based frameworks and how to use the asset-based growth assessment tool. During this session, we will explain what we mean by asset-based framework and explore basic principles that will help you begin to implement an asset-based approach at your organization. We will also provide an overview of the asset-based growth assessment tool, which you can use to help identify and develop core members' assets throughout the service year. Before we get into asset-based frameworks, let's define asset. An asset is a valuable quality, skill, experience, or capacity possessed by a person or group. In this webinar, you will hear the terms asset and strength used interchangeably. So what is an asset-based framework? An asset-based framework is both a way of seeing and a way of doing. It is a way of seeing that focuses on the strengths of individuals and communities rather than on their challenges. People are defined by their aspirations, contributions, and the value they bring to society rather than their barriers and cost to society. An asset-based framework is also a way of doing, a way of structuring programs and organizations so that individuals and communities are empowered to identify, use, and develop their strengths. In this session, we will discuss some things that you can do to build an asset-based culture at your organization. These 6 core principles form the foundation of an asset-based framework. First, we all have strengths. We often think about skills, education, and work experience being strengths, but individuals may possess other strengths as well, as we will discuss later in this session. Second, all strengths are valuable. Although some strengths may be more valuable in particular situations, it is important to recognize that all strengths have worth. Third, strong teams and communities are made up of individuals who have been empowered to use their strengths. In an asset-based framework, people are encouraged to share their voices and talents because every person has something to contribute. When everyone contributes the best of themselves, teams and communities thrive. Fourth, effective leaders are aware of their own strengths and are intentional about using them. They also help to cultivate the strengths of others. Fifth, we all have capacity for growth. Even the most highly educated and experienced individuals have room for further development. Personal and professional growth is a process that never ends. And last, growth is not a one-size-fits-all process. Because people have different stories, experiences, and goals, growth looks different for different people. We cannot assess our growth based on how it stacks up against another person's. This chart that shows the differences between an asset-based framework and a deficit-based one may help to illustrate what asset-based frameworks are all about. As we've discussed, an asset-based framework focuses on the strengths of individuals and communities. Individuals are encouraged to look for possibilities rather than problems, and all individuals are invited to share their skills, abilities, interests, and experiences for the sake of the common good. This empowering approach fosters a growth mindset where individuals believe they can learn, change, and overcome the challenges they face. People work together to solve problems because everyone has something to contribute, and we're all in this together. In contrast, a deficit-based framework is focused primarily on needs and what is wrong or missing. Instead of asking what's right with an individual or community, a deficit-based approach looks for what's wrong and focuses energy and attention there. Defining an individual by something negative that stigmatizes them can cause further injury, reinforce mistrust, and create a lack of understanding. Deficit-based frameworks promote a fixed mindset, where individuals believe they have already reached their potential and question their capacity to solve problems. They turn to outside experts to solve problems, and there is often a clear divide between us, the people who solve the problems, and them, the people who have the problems. The underlying message of a deficit-based framework is that some people and communities are broken and lack what it takes to grow, change, and improve. Think about some of the words we use to describe the communities we serve. When we describe communities as marginalized, at risk, and disadvantaged, we are using a deficit-based approach. An asset-based approach, on the other hand, would use words like resilient, motivated, and committed. It's not that a resilient community isn't at risk in some way. It's just that we choose to define the community by its strengths rather than its challenges. Unfortunately, a deficit-based approach tends to be the default in our society. For example, when a child is acting out in school, administrators tend to focus on the bad behavior and what's wrong or missing. When a community's high school graduation rate is low, we wonder what's wrong with the school and students. Implementing an asset-based framework requires commitment and practice. What if, instead of asking what was wrong in the community with low graduation rates, we asked, how can we utilize the strengths of students, teachers, administrators, and community members to overcome this challenge? This shift in thinking does not come easily for most of us, but the more we practice, the better we'll become. As you can see in this example, an asset-based approach does not ignore or deny the challenges that individuals and communities face. The challenges are real, but so are the individual's capacities to solve them. So why use an asset-based framework in service year programs? Incorporating an asset-based framework into the service year experience creates a positive, empowering environment where diversity is celebrated and individuals are inspired to reach their potential and share their talents with the world, both during and after their years of service. This approach values individuals and their stories. Rather than making assumptions about a person based on their appearance or resume, we commit to digging deeper. We invite individuals to tell us about their lives and the experiences that have made them who they are. We celebrate the unique strengths that individuals possess, as well as the various ways that those strengths were developed. An asset-based framework empowers people by inviting them to share the best of themselves with each other and the world. Individuals are more likely to contribute and reach their potential when they understand their strengths and see themselves as critical agents in the process of change and growth. Rather than turning to external sources for answers, communities leverage their own assets to address the problems that they face. In this environment, curiosity, collaboration, and creativity thrive. People wonder about each other's stories and look for creative ways to utilize their strengths to solve community problems. Individuals and communities grow and develop as they contribute and imagine what is possible together. If you are interested in implementing an asset-based framework at your organization, one of the first things you will need to do is identify the strengths of your program staff and core members. The asset-based growth assessment tool was created to help you do just that. Although the tool was designed for core members, it would be helpful for everyone at your organization to complete it. Program staff will be better equipped to support core member growth if they are familiar with the tool and the types of assets included in it. The asset-based growth assessment tool contains a 3-part pre-service assessment, as well as tools for tracking growth throughout the year. The first part of the pre-service assessment will help core members recognize the strengths, skills, and talents they bring with them to the service year. Core members are given the opportunity to reflect on their assets in 5 categories: education, experience, skills, motivation, and support network. The assessment goes beyond typical resume assets like degrees, work experience, and technical skills to explore areas like informal education, lived experience, and interest. By broadening the definition of assets, the assessment invites core members to see themselves and their experiences in new ways. Uncovering one's assets will be an empowering process for core members and will provide valuable information for program staff who want to help core members use and develop their strengths throughout the service year. In the second section of the pre-service assessment, core members are asked to identify potential challenges that could prevent them from using and developing their skills, strengths, and talents during the service year. This information will help program staff to support core members directly or provide referrals to outside sources as needed. Once core members have identified pre-existing strengths and potential challenges, they will set goals for personal and professional growth during the service year. Program staff can provide accountability and support once goals have been established. Throughout the year, core members will evaluate progress on their goals and seek feedback from their supervisors using the growth progress tracking chart included in the tool. And finally, at the end of the service term, core members will assess their growth since the beginning of the service term. They will identify the new strengths, skills, and talents they have gained and describe how they have developed the assets that they brought with them into the service year. We're now going to provide some tips for administering each part of the assessment. It is recommended that core members complete the 3-part pre-assessment during onboarding. Make sure that you clearly explain why you are using the tool and how it will be used throughout the year. Core members may be hesitant to share personal information with their supervisors and teammates if it is unclear who will see their responses and how the information will be used. Let them know that you're interested in getting to know them so that you can help them use and develop their assets throughout the year. Never force anyone to share personal information that they don't want to share. The pre-assessment will take approximately 2 hours to complete. This estimate includes time to view the brief instructional video we have created to explain the asset-based growth assessment tool to core members. You can begin to empower core members at onboarding by encouraging them to take responsibility for their own personal and professional growth. Completing the pre-assessment is not a chore, but an opportunity for core members to reflect on their strengths, challenges, and goals. Let core members know that they are in the driver's seat of their own growth and that you are there to support them. Once core members have completed the pre-assessment, it is important that you take time to review their responses so that you can provide feedback and be intentional about supporting their growth and matching core member strengths to tasks at your organization. If someone says they're skilled at social media, maybe they could manage your online presence or create one if your organization does not yet use social media. In part 2 of the pre-assessment, some core members may disclose difficult challenges, including food insecurity, mental health issues, or unhealthy relationships. Be prepared to make referrals to outside resources as needed. Remember, your job is not to fix core member problems or force their growth. Rather, focus on providing accountability and support as core members work toward their own goals, and use your knowledge and network to connect them with helpful resources as needed. In addition to the pre-assessment, the growth assessment tool contains growth progress tracking charts that will help core members evaluate progress on their goals and seek feedback from program staff. This tool, when combined with regular check-in meetings and core member journaling, will help to establish a cycle of learning, action, and reflection at your organization. In this cycle, core members learn something new, some sort of skill perhaps, and then try it out in a real-life setting. After this action phase, core members reflect on their experience and what they learned. This new learning influences how they show up next time, and the cycle continues. The curriculum guide contains tips for regular check-in meetings with core members, as well as journal prompts that will encourage reflection throughout the service year. Remember, you cannot force core members to grow, but you can support growth by creating conditions where individuals feel valued and inspired to reach their potential. At the end of the service term, participants will use the asset-based growth assessment tool to assess their growth since the beginning of the service term. They will identify the new strengths, skills, and talents they have gained and describe how they have developed the assets that they brought with them to the service year. You can help support core members by celebrating their growth and helping them think about how they will use their assets beyond the service year. The curriculum guide contains resources that will help core members translate their assets to a resume and prepare for whatever comes next. Thank you for taking time to view this webinar and choosing to invest in your core members' growth and development. As we mentioned earlier in the webinar, we recommend that program staff complete the pre-assessment portion of the asset-based growth assessment tool prior to onboarding so that they will be better prepared to support core members throughout the year. To prepare to train your core members on how to best utilize the asset-based growth assessment tool, we recommend reviewing the A2 session guide, Asset-Based Growth Assessment Tool, a guide for core members. Thank you.